Good evening, everybody. This is Neighbors in the Know. This is a co-presentation by the Friends of Bachman Lake and the Bachman Northwest Highway Community Association, and we thank you for joining us. Today we have Dallas Water Utilities, we have Dallas Parks, and we have information for the hopefully upcoming soon at some point skate park, which is going to enter a design phase. So there's a lot of exciting information, but before we go through those presentations, we have a few reminders for the community ourselves. So if you would permit me to share my screen here and bear with me while we do that, we'll go ahead and get those started. So the biggest reminder is for everybody to please get vaccinated. There is a link here on the site. We will provide it to you in the Facebook comments feed. It is www.dallascounty.org/COVID-19. You'll get information as to what is happening with vaccination sites, who is qualifying at the moment, and how to register. Right now, people over 65 and with pre-existing conditions are on the priority list for vaccination, but everyone can go ahead and register to get on the list. Eventually, you'll be called to get your vaccine. Now, you can also ask your doctor or medical provider if there is an alternate registration that they provide for their own patients. But you can not only just go on the website, there's also a phone number you can call for those without internet access or for those who would like to interact with a human being. And that is 1-855-IMMUNE9. That's 855-466-8639. That is staffed from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week in both English and Spanish. So again, that's 1-855-IMMUNE9 if you would rather get registered for a vaccination over the phone. There are also what are called vaccine hubs being set up, and these can change from time to time. But this link here that we will provide on the Facebook feed as well will also guide you toward places in other counties and throughout the state, actually, because you don't have to reside in the county where you get vaccinated. But Dallas County is setting up, and the city of Dallas is setting up different locations for vaccine hubs for people to get vaccinated. If you're scheduled for your second vaccine, it typically will place in the place you got your first. So what this chart basically shows here is after you get your registration done online and you fill out the details, you'll get a confirmation email. It might ask you a few extra questions, and then you'll be prioritized based on the information you provided, and then be given an appointment date. And at that point, then you show up with the necessary proof of age or whatever it is that they're asking for, and then you can go ahead and proceed with the vaccination. The Bachman Lake plan, that is a plan where we're looking for improving mobility and access around the Bachman area. The North Central Texas Council of Governments, National Parks, we need feedback. Okay, so we need especially youth to answer the survey. Again, we'll provide the link in the Facebook feed. And right now you can actually access the information through the friendsofbachmanlake.org website /Bachman plan. That's another way to get there. But we have a participation of several hundred individuals, and we need more people in the younger age group. So if you know someone, just give them a nudge and say, get on there and fill things out, because we want to know what the community would like to see in terms of access, in terms of trails, in terms of things in the area that would improve the Bachman community and make things a much more pleasant and fun place to be. That deadline for the survey is February 28th. That was extended. This is just a little bit of a view of what the Friends of Bachman Lake site has regarding that. But please fill out the survey, get your younger ones to do that as well. We'd really appreciate it. And finally, the Friends of Bachman Lake newsletter is out. You can go to friendsofbachmanlake.org/news to catch up on what happened last month, what's going on now, and we will even be talking about this meeting in future ones. So we appreciate your time and effort. And now I'm going to throw things over to Dallas Water Utilities, who will give us a little bit of an update as to what's happening with dredging and the dam reconstruction and other things.
Hey, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. This is Mark Mem with Dallas Water Utilities, and Before we get started, we want to invite you to participate in a quick survey. Our communication team wants to know more about who our audience is and know more about who's attending the meeting. So please use your phone camera, and you can take a picture of the QR code and start the survey, or visit menti.com, menti.com, and enter the numbers on the slide to complete the survey. In that survey, there's 5 quick questions. What's your age group? How close do you live to Bachman Lake? How would you prefer to receive updates? Because we're communicating in several different ways. How often do you visit Bachman Lake Park? And what activities do you do when you get to the park? Okay, so we're going to be moving pretty quick here with the time that we have. Let's go to the agenda slide. Okay, there'll be a background on the project. What is the Bachman Lake Dam project, the dredging and the dam repair project that Dallas Water Utility is doing. We'll talk some about what dredging is and how we're going to do it. Also about the dam, some of the project goals and timelines that we're undertaking, the progress we've made to date, some of the community engagement that we're involved with, and then the stormwater group with the utility will give an update on stormwater operations, and then finally we'll field some questions. So here's some background. DW was founded a long time ago in 1881. Dallas Water Utilities is one of the large utilities in the country. We provide, we're a regional provider of water, wastewater, and stormwater services, not just to Dallas, but to other towns. We're funded from wholesale and retail water and wastewater revenue and stormwater fees. If you get a water bill, you know what we're talking about. We have a combined operating and capital budgets of $1.1 billion. It's a large service area that we serve, just about 700 square miles. And DW has roughly 1,650 employees at this time. And we provide water and wastewater services for 2.5 million people. The project team on this, Estella Ornelas is our community engagement specialist, and she's very vital on this project with getting the word out on our progress and what's going on. Mark Cottingham is my boss. He's a senior program manager with Dallas Water Utilities Water Facility Program Management. I'm a project manager in that group. My name's Mark Mim. So the dam was built in 1901, a long time ago. And initially this was a water supply for a small growing community called Dallas. And it was originally used for that, but it was quickly realized to be undersized for the growing population. It was converted to recreational use in the 1960s. The earthen embankment of the dam is about 35 feet tall, and there's a 180-foot long concrete overflow spillway. Here's some key features of the Bachman Lake Dam. On the top side of the slide is a recreational area up here that is where the Parks Department is planning several new projects. They'll be talking about that tonight, including the skate park and aquatic center. Then there's the emergency spillway. When water levels get so high, I'm going counterclockwise on this slide, by the way. When water levels get so high, water will overflow the emergency spillway. Then there's the embankment, the earthen embankment. Then there's an intake tower in the lake, which is no longer used. Then there's a service spillway. That's the overflow where water from Bachman Lake overflows the spillway, the concrete spillway, and goes through a channel to reach Eternity River. Here's a close shot of the spillway itself. There's a crest and the apron, and then that bridge right there is an important bridge that's used to bring in chemicals to the Bachman water treatment plant, which is right there at the lake, in between the lake and Love Field Airport. So this spillway will get replaced as part of the dam reconstruction project. So why are they important? First of all, let's talk about dredging. First, dredging is, there's a process to it where sediment is dredged up out of the bottom of the lake. It can be done several ways. The sediment is transported and dewatered and finally transported again to a disposal site such as a landfill. Why do we need to do this at Bachman Lake? Well, creeks erode, and as you probably have noticed, our storms have been more intense, so erosion has gotten worse. And as development occurs, there's more impervious area, which means more runoff going to the creek. So it's an exasperating issue. And that sediment is transported downstream to where the water loses energy. When that happens, the sediment settles out and builds up. And that's what's happening in the lake. So what are the effects? Well, it affects a lot of things. It affects recreation, and because it reduces the level of the lake water. In fact, the lake can completely fill in if we didn't dredge it. There's high sediment levels that affect fishing and recreational activities, but also when you get shallow water, invasive aquatic vegetation can take hold, and that can be a real problem for lake maintenance. So we want to try to avoid that if all possible. Here's a slide that shows the water level depths. And where you see the violet or purple color, that's real shallow. In fact, that kind of light purple is an island that's formed in Bachman Lake as a result of sediment buildup. And it's mostly in the upper reaches of the lake where like I mentioned, the water loses its energy of carrying the sediment and it sinks to the bottom. So those lines drawn on there are cross sections that we used when we surveyed the lake to determine how deep the sediment was. So what is dredging? It's a removal of accumulated debris by mechanical equipment. So let's watch this quick video. So this is one company that makes dredge barges, and the barge that ends up at Bachman Lake could look like this. There's several configurations of barges, but they generally do the same thing. So it's portable, it floats, it can be moved around the lake because it'll have to be moved. There's a cutter head that moves along the bottom, and the sediment and mud is pumped up and pumped through a pipe to a dewatering area where the sediment or the dewatered sediment can be loaded onto trucks and transported off-site. So the dredge operator works back and forth and controls the depth of the dredging operation, and the goal is to have the lake level lowered to be at least 8 feet deep. And that'll give us the enough time between the next required dredging of the lake and prevent aquatic vegetation from infesting the lake. So it's removed when sediment is dredged, it's pumped from the dredge barge through a floating pipe. And the pipe, I'll show you where that's going to go here in a minute, but it's transported that way to a dewatering area. So with the floating pipe, that is going to impede rowing in those areas where the pipe is, and that's just the way it is on the upper reaches of the lake where we're going to be dredging. And that'll be in place during the entire time of the project. The slurry, we're using a Dallas Water Utility property. That's used by the Bachman Water Treatment Plant. That's the sediment processing site there in the black boundary. And we're going to be running pipe down the channel, the discharge channel from the dam, and returning water to the lake from the sediment dewatering processing site. That's a rough overview of how the pipe will be laid. So what is dewatering? Well, sediment is going to be it's going to be a slurry of water and mud and silt. And it's dewatered in a couple different ways. It could be done by centrifuges, like is shown here in the photo, or it can be done with a belt filter press operation, which squeezes the water out of the mud. We do that to reduce the weight and to be able to load trucks more efficiently to reduce the costs for transportation to the disposal sites. It'll be trucked to landfills for daily material, for daily cover. Okay, so on the dam, what is a dam? Well, a dam is it's a structure, a barrier that restricts water to build up a reservoir. So it's a reservoir used for flood control and recreation, Bachman Lake Dam, and it's over 100 years old. So the reason we're doing this is for maintenance of the embankment and the spillway. The spillway has become overgrown with trees in the center of it, and that impedes stormwater flow during high flow events. We need to be able to move the water and not back it up to where it can undercut the spillway itself, which is a danger. And it protects the downstream property and infrastructure also from overtopping and flooding. These are some common dam issues. We're not saying that Bachman Lake Dam has all these, but it has some of these items. And these are common. All dams have some issue or another. But there are some seeps and some boils in Bachman Dam. It's nothing unusual. There is some concrete deterioration of the spillway itself and some cracking. That's one reason we're replacing it. And there's been wave action along the embankment. So the project goals and timeline. One of the objectives is to update the hydraulics and hydrology of the Bachman Dam and spillway. We have to meet the required regulatory flood capacity from TCEQ. We're going to remove the buildup sediment in the lake to return it to recreational levels and address Bachman Dam structural instability concerns that we have. So essentially, this is a broad schedule. Dredging will take place starting this summer in 2021. It'll continue through 2022. And around that time in 2022, the rehab of the dam itself will start and the work will be wrapped up in the summer of 2023. A more detailed look at the schedules next. So here you can see, I'm not going to read all these, but right now we're at the top line there. We're doing the public and Bachman Lake stakeholders meeting to present the update. Today is February 8th. We're completing the dredging and advertisement for dredging bids later this spring, and work will begin this summer for dredging. Progress we've made. We've had to do a lot of field work. Anytime you dredge a water body, a permit's required, like especially a lake of this size, and there's a lot of activities that go into that permit, such as a topographic survey of the lake. We had to do a freshwater mussel survey. This photo shows divers that covered Bachman Lake looking for freshwater mussels. A bathymetric survey was done to estimate the quantity of the dredging volume. Geotechnical investigations are needed for the dam design. And finally, both surveys were done for water of the U.S. for wetlands delineation and cultural resources. The good news is all this field work paid off. We were able to get our permit for dredging from the Corps of Engineers. That was obtained in December, and we're very happy about that. It was a fast turnaround on the permit because we've done all that legwork. Now there will be some impact from the project, as you might expect. There is a small parking lot that the contractor will need for staging and to access the barge on a daily basis and get their workers out to the barge and fuel the barge and so on. And to also to assemble the pipe that's to be used for the slurry and to remove debris from the lake. So this is a parking lot that's next to the rowing club. The dam rehab, we've completed the hydraulics and hydrology study, the preliminary study on that. And the scope of the work is to strengthen and stabilize the embankment. And we're currently evaluating the regulatory requirements to make sure we get it all properly done. So I mentioned the service spillway. This gets replaced, and we're looking at options for that. Finally, in community engagement, we've been busy. We have a website, BachmanLakeDam.com. It's a nice looking website. There's a lot of information on there. Please log in and visit that website. Rogue Water has set that up for us. In there, you'll find the latest news. You can sign up for notifications, and you can also ask us questions through that website, and we'll respond. We're also communicating through Facebook, Twitter, and let's go to the next slide. So keep in touch. You can email at info@Bachman Lake Dam as well. You can visit our website or any of these other public information. So let's talk now. I'm going to turn this over to stormwater operations.
Thank you, Mark. This is the Stormwater Operations Project team. Sarah Standifer is our Assistant Director for Stormwater Operations. Nusrat Munir, she's an Environmental 2, Neighborhood Drainage Services. And myself, I'm a Senior Program Manager for Neighborhood Drainage Services. The City of Dallas' operation is obligated to regulatory compliance through the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ. That's via the MS4 permit and the United States Army Corps of Engineers for the Dallas levee system and other improvements related to the waters of the U.S. Here's the Trinity River watershed. It's one of the three major Texas watershed. It extends from Oklahoma Gulf to the Gulf of Mexico, approximately about 6,050 square miles above Dallas. The drainage system infrastructure has about 1,800 miles of storm sewers, 30 miles of levees, about 13 pump stations at 8 locations, 6 pressure sewers, and 8 street pump stations, 661 miles of channel, and about 39,000 acres of floodplain, and that includes both public and private. I'm going to turn it over to Nusrat Munir for the water quality.
Thank you, Sergio. Okay, I will dive in directly to my slides because the team was to collect samples according to the that was designed to collect samples for Bachman Lake, and EPA protocols were utilized to collect samples to determine the water quality of the lake while comparing the water quality of the upstream and downstream locations. According to the sampling plan, we collected dissolved oxygen, pH, conductivity, ammonia, and nitrates, nitrites, total phosphorus, metals, total suspended solid stability, and E. coli. No samples for TPH BTEX were collected because no sheen was observed during the sampling events. This project started January of 2020. At that time, according to samples located at downstream, that was located at Denton Bridge and right in the center of the lake. For the 6 months, the water quality was combined. So from July, we were just sampling upstream and downstream sites. Only 2 sites we were collecting samples from. This is all the data from January till December of this year that we have collected. And hopefully it will be somewhere on the Facebook that you guys can take a look at it. Next slide, please. Okay, I've done some statistical analysis for bacteria for a single sample according to Texas surface water quality standards that accept 99 colonies per 100 mils. So we can see for Bachman Lake upstream in July and in September, there were some spikes. In September, there was definitely a qualified rain event that could have contributed to elevated levels of bacteria. And downstream, all the samples were compliant. They were less than 399. And the geomean, because of the spikes for two acceptable level, that is 126, excuse me, colonies per 100 mils, and downstream was compliant. Excuse me. We can see the acceptable level for ammonia is 1.7, and all the samples were either non-detect, or if we had hits, they were very minor hits. So this tells us it was not sewage water that was in the creek. And also phosphorus was acceptable level is 1.25 milligrams per liter, and this, all the samples were combined for phosphorus. For nitrate, for stream, we see some spikes. This could be because of the, excuse me, leaves decomposing in the creek that could have contributed to high levels over there, and downstream it was all compliant. According to the statistical analysis, we see the mean for all the samples were well below the acceptable levels, except only for bacteria. For upstream, the geomean was 135 instead of 126. This was because of the two sampling events that were elevated. And the statistical analysis of data determined the water quality of Bachman Lake was compliant with Texas surface water quality standards set by the TCEQ. And these are the analyses that we use to build a plan for water quality. Back to you, Sergio. Thank you.
Thank you, Nusra, for that. As mentioned, here are the inlet cleaning that we did. So Neighborhood Drainage Services Group is responsible for the removal of blockages of city-owned inlets, creeks, channels, except creeks and channels located in parks, storm sewers, and response to inclement weather emergencies such as snow and ice, windstorms, and street flooding. Here's the overview map of all the area inlets around Bachman Lake. And here is the last few pictures that we took around the area, a pre and post cleaning. You can see some of the area, how it was full of leaves that was removed. And some of these can cause that blockage, water from flowing down to the lake itself. So nothing seemed to have any structures or anything like that that were in danger to cause any problems, just basically some leaves. And that was a total of 25 that were cleaned all around. These are the dates, the last day of being January the 20th this year, and no other deficiencies were found during our investigation. And I'll turn it over to questions. Thank you.
We have a few that have come from Facebook, I think one of which was answered, but the spillway itself, we've been told that the dam won't be any higher because there was concerns about the volume of water and how that would be affected. But will it be higher, the spillway itself, when it's rebuilt?
Hi, Michael. This is Mark Cottingham. Let me respond real quick to the
Sure.
spillway. The current design does not anticipate increasing the height of the current dam. So when the designers go through, they'll increase the capacity by creating additional length of the dam, but not additional height.
Excellent.
And,
Thank you.
and the spillway configuration, it'll most likely look different. It's not going to be straight like that.
And a question came up about the cost of dredging and where that's coming from.
The dredging funding is being split among several departments such as parks and Dallas Water Utilities and stormwater.
A question came up
And
about
the dredging cost is somewhere around 20 million or so.
Thank you. So another question about the trees that are beyond the spillway, and as DW clears of those trees, is there anything that's going to be done to add more due to any loss of tree canopy?
We don't plan to clear any trees beyond the spillway.
And is there any risk to any of the wildlife west of the dam as the result of the reconstruction at all?
No. No, there's
I have
not.
a quick question
Sure, Tim.
relating to trees. There's a substantial cottonwood tree on the right toward the end of the dam near the spillway between the dam west of the dam itself, just before you get onto the pathway going down that hill. And it's, I guess you could say, behind the dam, between the dam and Harry Hines, or that sump area. Is that tree in danger when the dam gets reconstructed? It looks like it's about a 125-year-old tree.
I don't know specifically what tree you're referring to, but it depends. If the tree is in the footprint of the embankment, generally trees are not, it's not really advisable to let trees grow into an embankment because their roots can penetrate through because they're searching for water and can penetrate through and cause risk to the earthen embankment. But it depends where the tree is located. If it's substantial and large, we probably will not touch it.
So I've got a picture here. Could I email that to mark.mim at dwu.org or Dallas City?
Dallas Water Utility, DallasCityHall.com.
Okay, I'll send that so you can see. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. With relation to stormwater, is there still a consideration to redirect that water from Lover's Lane down to Bachman Creek or Lake? Because today we understand it flows through Love Field.
As far as I know, I mean, if there's some the current construction, we would have to check on that to see what the actual development or new construction for storm sewers is around that area. So I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, we're looking for any other questions? Ruth, anything you see? I don't believe I do.
Hey, I don't see any new ones, just the ones I posted.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, DWU, all your great folks. That's a lot of work. We're glad to hear the water quality meets the standards, and no surprises there, hopefully. So thank you for all of that. Let's turn it over to Parks and get an update on some projects going around Parks. I believe it's Jared speaking, or it's all yours.
Hey, good evening. Thank you. So just give me a second. I'll share my screen, get my presentation up here. Oops, not that one. Okay, hopefully everyone's seeing the presentation there. So tonight, I'm Jared White, pardon me, with the Park and Recreation Department Planning and Design Division. So we're going to give some updates on a lot of projects going on around the lake. Excuse me. So we have the recreation center, also the aquatic center that's under design, the skate park, which is also alluded to a little bit earlier. There is the pardon me, Quick Trip trailhead that's over on the eastern side of the lake, and then the Greenbelt Trail that we're working on with the Friends group. So here's the distribution of those projects. You're on like a lot of them are over kind of on the northwest side of the park near the spillway. Then there's a few also on the eastern side of the park. Excuse me, sorry, I was just fine till I started speaking. Now I'm getting all stuffy here. So, center. So the scope of the project includes renovations of the interior and the exterior of the building, interior with the restrooms, replacing the floor, control area renovations, the pool restroom plumbing repair, a lot of just internal workings to the building. This was started last summer and will be complete in about 3 months from now in April. And the budget there is at the bottom at 3.9 million. Excuse me again. So there's underway. If you've already been on site, you've already seen some of the results of this. So this is the exterior of the building. This is the front entryway. So the front canopy has been renovated and reconstructed. See that there, and we'll just kind of move through these. Also, a lot of interior work. So again, new front entryway. The restrooms have been upgraded. In the lower left, you see the kind of new tile and flooring and some of the interior work, and then some new office space that's also been improved within the building. A lot of, again, interior spots. Here's the restrooms. The break room spaces have been upgraded, and then some exterior work that you can see on the lower right there. With aquatics, so the aquatic center is in design on the western side of the park, over near the recreation center itself. So it's going to have an activity pool, a lazy river, 4-lane lap pool, 2 slides, shade structures, landscaping, and a bathhouse facility. Here, a very kind of general rendering of what that site will be. Kind of in the white, kind of nebulous area off to the right, that's the existing building that it's adjoining to. Then you can see the different facilities that are being included in that design, being the lap pool, the play features, and the lazy river. And we are currently waiting. It's in design now. We're working on just getting through the permitting process. Once that's finally approved and we're approved to move forward, that's going to be about a 9 to 10 month or so a construction schedule, and that's a project of about 7.2 roughly million there. The skate park, and I think there may be some additional comments on this as well. So this is, we're working very closely with DW. It's tied into the reconstruction of the dam on the western side of the park. So the design contract was approved back in November. There's a typo on there. Back in at the end of 2020. And so we're at the very preliminary stages of starting that design work. So there'll be a lot more to come on this. So we'll start our work with Dallas Florida Utilities and stakeholder groups, and there'll be more to come with the skate park. So I didn't know if there were some other comments on the skate park, if anyone else wanted to comment real quick, or otherwise I can keep going.
We'll go ahead and let Clinton Haley talk about the skate park once you're done with your presentation here. And
okay,
we
great.
can pick up any questions.
Great. I just have a few more slides here. Again, here's just a map of the lake. Again, we're looking over on the western side of the park in coordination with Dallas Florida Utilities and their dam reconstruction project. So working with Quick Trip, we got this update from Quick Trip yesterday. And so they're still working through the permitting process and platting, and they're hoping to go to construction this year. I didn't get a start date, but they are through our internal processes. And so they will start that construction. And what this looks like, again, this is not the best graphic. So in the larger graphic here, you can see Northwest Highway and Lemon. The facility will be on that southeast corner, and they're going to provide a trailhead, sidewalk down to the trail itself, and some other improvements that will serve as a trailhead facility off of their project site itself. And then the Greenbelt Trail. So we are still working with the Friends of Bachman Lake on this. So the Park and Recreation Department, the Park Board, approved this, the funding, their match funding back in November. And so now we're working with groundwork and working with the Friends of Bachman Lake on just some preliminary work on clearing the site, doing some alignment work. There's been conversations with our maintenance staff on how can we cross the creek in that greenbelt area. And so, yeah, we're again very early on working on this, and we'll have some more updates on this as we move along here. But this is already getting underway. This is just kind of preliminary alignments of the greenbelt itself. So just for orientation, that's Shorecrest is the roadway kind of on that running east-west on the southern part of the map there. Lemon on the lower left. And so we have two alignments about a mile each, roughly, one on the north side of the creek and one on the south. So again, you'll have opportunities to walk back and forth across along each side of the creek. And then we're looking at ways to get across the creek itself. And here is my contact information should there be any additional questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jared. We did have a question about the rec center, which looks awesome, by the way, is the comment, and I tend to agree with that. Can we get some guidance thus far on any restrictions due to COVID once it does open?
So, Leon, I saw you might be on the call. I don't know if you can provide any additional information on that, or perhaps Calvert.
As far as I know, we have shortened the hours on some of the rec center. Unfortunately, Crystal's not here, and she has the latest schedule. So because of the COVID and some of the group activities has been greatly reduced or temporarily postponed. So we'll have it posted when we get a new schedule, a new plan. And I think Crystal, the recreation sites, they're normally posted on the city's park department, dallaspark.org site. And so there's a schedule there. And whenever we have a facility open, or we have to close it due to COVID or shorten the hours, that kind of stuff. So.
Thank you. Appreciate the answer.
Thank you.
We're pretty excited about this skate park. There are a lot of possibilities, and we have Clinton Haley with Skate Parks for Dallas to speak a little bit about what's possible and how things. So Clinton, the floor is yours. I'm going to run the slides for you. It's basically some examples of what this team has done in the past to develop skate parks elsewhere, so you can get an idea of what's possible here. So go ahead, Clinton Haley. I'll be sharing this in a second.
I'm muted.
Thank you for that. So some of y'all might recall that my counterpart, Nick DiCarlo, and I went out to one of y'all's neighborhood association meetings at the bank building pre-COVID, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And after the bond program approved the skate park at Bachman Lake, we presented kind of a conceptual idea of what a modern skate park is and what benefits that might bring to the Bachman community. So for those who weren't there, we thought it would be a good idea to get some slides up to actually show you what a modern skate park might entail. And so these are skate park pictures of a recent park that was built in Florida by the same design firm that was just contracted, as Jared from Parks pointed out, at the end of this past year. So this is designed by Team Payne. If you'll notice, yeah, there is some concrete, but the nice part about skate parks today, hey, not only does the community like trees, not only does the community like shade, but so do skaters, especially in Texas, right? So picture your son or daughter, or even you going to a modern skate park. And we really want to try to make this design include something for everyone. Sure, the main thing is for kids and skaters to have fun at the park and be challenged and have a good source of recreation, but also for neighborhood members to be able to come out and enjoy a nice modern park, as well as shade features and places to sit and watch as skaters do their thing. So like I said, Team Payne is the design firm that was contracted by the city. And as a skate community, we're real excited for that. Team Payne has designed and built the majority of parks in Colorado, as well as in Florida, and have all been received very well by those communities. So I think that this will be a great combination for Dallas and for the Bachman neighborhood in providing a really neat and exciting park at that corner of the dam there near the recreation center. So other things we thought about was, well, you know, skateboarding for some, particularly in the Bachman neighborhood, perhaps is going to be new. We know from skate parks that are built in other communities, as soon as they're built, the kids find them and they will enjoy that recreation. But to really kind of try to build awareness in the community and excitement, working on some committees with Michael here and Susanna, as well as Joe Carey on your school board rep, and Tim Dickey, we had a good idea of working with Skate Parks for Dallas and trying to raise some money so when the park opens, that we can get perhaps 100 elementary school age kids, maybe 10 from each surrounding school, and provide free lessons for them at the new skate park, just as a kind of introduction and a kind of to gain familiarity with skateboarding and what this new park to the community might bring. So we're excited with that collaboration between the Neighborhood Association, Skate Parks for Dallas, and the city and the community to try to get those funds between now and the time that the park opens. So that is our latest update, and I'm really excited for this next phase. And I think over the next several months, Team Payne will do the geotechnical studies, looking at the soil, talking with Dallas Water Utilities and the folks that are going to rebuild the dam. And then maybe in several months, kind of early spring, summer, that's when we'll get together as a community and have design meetings that pretty much Team Payne conducts before they even finalize any design. They want input from the community. What do you want to see in this park? And have a series of meetings to not only provide information, but also feedback from the community before a final design is confirmed. We're skateparksfordallas.org. If you have questions that you think of later beyond this meeting, feel free to get on our website and ask them, and we'd be happy to talk about it. We love talking about this skate park and are really excited. So thanks for the time.
Thank you, Clinton. We have a few comments and possible questions here. The skate park, at least the designs we see from Florida, look incredibly awesome. And there's a lot of excitement about seeing the designs that'll come up for Bachman. And we thank you for your advocacy. And this is really exciting. Do you know at this point if the design will consider the transportation requirements, pedestrian bridges across, let's say, Denton to the DART station for safe access, or parking along Webb Chapel? Is that part of the conversation at this stage?
Right. So I think the initial schematic design, there was parking there along the, is that Webb Chapel the one that's kind of north-south there, Michael? On the,
Yeah.
by, run, yeah. So
Denton Drive, yeah, don't quote me on that. Denton Drive runs north-south along the DART station.
So
and then Webb Chapel meets there.
I saw a schematic including parking, and then with this site in mind, with the locale really close to the Bachman Light Rail Station, that was one of the main reasons why we chose that area, so kids could get there on public transportation. So Probably with any design will be, discussion as to how we can make that crossing safe for pedestrians, for kids to get from light rail to skate park.
We love the idea of lessons for kids. That's exciting. We love the idea of making it multi age group, so to speak, especially for parents of these children. I think that's wonderful. We also have an idea for food trucks at the park. Who knows what this can all uh, sprout from there. So that's really exciting. And we would ask you, Clinton, and we can exchange with emails and calls about pushing the Bachman area survey among your group and your skater community, because it really does dovetail into all the plans that are happening around the area with trails and pedestrian and biking and access to all of the things that the Bachman Lake Park area can offer. So look for that.
Great idea, Michael. No, we'll do.
Could I just weigh in with an observation?
Yes, please.
I would just say that I remember back in the 70s, there was a little wooden sort of, now by today's standards, you'd think a pretty crummy little skate park there, but there was a skate park at Bachman, an installation, and it's well remembered among us old timers in the neighborhood, although I didn't ever skate there. A lot of people, when we have our Bachman Northwest Highway community meetings, a lot of people talk about that and remember that. So it's kind of cool that we've got a history of a skate park having been here in the 70s and was much loved. And now we're coming back with this incredible super skate park on steroids, multi-million-dollar phenomenal facility. And I'd just say one thing that came up in our meeting the other day was if you could talk a little bit about how it's going to be family friendly, because I think some people have fears that skate parks kind of get taken over by rowdy teenagers, but there's a way to design this I think you all have thought about that kind of makes it more inclusive. Is that the case?
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, absolutely. So really the school of thought on designing and building skate parks these days is to how to make it comfortable for the whole family. So going to the suburbs, for instance, McKinney Skate Park north of Dallas, on any weekend, you'll see moms, dads, brothers, sisters that aren't even skating out there, kind of enjoying watching and just kind of walking around and seeing what's going on. So that's really the vibe that we want to make happen at the skate park, and trees, shade, areas that we can sit, locales to other activities such as the walking trail around the dam, and connectivity. Don't wall it off. Make it open for everybody to walk down off the trail and hey, what's going on down there? So a couple of skate park experts have come with a good rule of thumb: make it comfortable for moms. And so that's a good rule of thumb. So if a mother bringing their sixth grader there to the park, or maybe even younger, feels comfortable there, well, moms have a calming effect on teenagers, right? So if you can make that the design, incorporate it comfortable for parents, for moms that will be there too. I think that's a good idea to keep in mind, so that when a family does show up, they're encouraged and excited about participating. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's a key criteria in this design.
That's super exciting, and we look forward to the next phases of that. There was a question comment about working with DART, if that's at all possible, to minimize the encroachment of parking on the green space that we have, because it's kind of limited at Bachman Lake Park. So I don't know if there's anything you can add to that, or anyone about what it takes to work with DART to secure, at least carve out a little space for people who want to use that facility, and possibly others right nearby using their lot.
Yeah, good thought. Again, this is pretty early in the process, but that's certainly something to keep in mind. So as we kind of get to more official design phase after the soil testing and working with Dallas Water Utilities. I think that's a good thing to strategize on.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up on the close of our session. This has been super wonderful, and I want to thank everybody. I didn't want to overlook one. Somebody said that they missed what the timeline for the quick trip being built is. Can anyone reiterate that?
Hey, this is Jared with the Park Department. I can follow up on that. I did not get a timeline from the Quick Trip representative for this update, but I can certainly follow up with her on that and get back to you on that.
Jared, this is Jason A. Yeah, Quick Trip, it's still second quarter of this year that they expect to start construction, which probably means sometime around July.
Okay, very good. I don't see any more questions at the moment. We are 5 minutes to the hour, so I really am very, very grateful. And on behalf of Friends of Bachman Lake and Bachman Northwest Highway Community Association, thank you all for joining us today. Stay tuned for the Spanish session. A lot of you will remain with us, provide our Spanish-speaking community the same update. So we're very happy and grateful for you to stick with us for that time. So thank you, everybody. We're going to end the live stream for the English session and start again at 7 for the Spanish session. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.